Okay, Beseda, good morning. So we're up to Siman Kuf Samaches Sif Hey. So we'll try to do two Sifim Shem, very interesting halachas. So the first one is this: Pas Oved Kechavim Nakia, or Pas Kibosh Ad Yisrael. The guy's got a choice. He's got two roles in front of him. One is Pas Akum, which is your good Hovis bread. Again, Pas Akum, it's kosher, of course, otherwise you couldn't eat it, but it's just been baked by a Nochri. It's not Pas Yisrael. So we know we're coming up to Aseres Meitzuvah. So Aseres Meitzuvah, we're machmir. It's a hidur not to have Pas Akum, but Lemaisa, it's mutter. The hovis bread that you go in the holidays and they give hechsherim, etc. But that's Pas Akum. So you got a choice. You got Pas Oved Kechavim Nakia, which is higher quality, clean, sifted flour, or Pas Kibosh Ad Yisrael, or you've got inferior grain, but it's Pas Yisrael. Which one is better? So if the guy is not particularly makbid about Pas Akum, and therefore he would happily eat Pas Akum, because that is Nakia, therefore Mavarech al mehem sheyirtza, he can choose whichever one he wants. But if, however, he is makbid and he only has Pas Yisrael, then Mesalik Pas Noki shel Ovid Kechavim me'al hashulchan ad la'acha birchas ha'moitzi, he should actually take it away from the table and make the bracha on the Pas Yisrael. Let's do the Mishnah Berurah till there. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Sif Kotan Yud Zayin, Pas Ovid Gilulim Nakia, Avol B'shavin, but if they're both equal in quality, the Pas Akum and the Pas Yisrael, Pshita, the Pas Yisrael, Kodim Levarech Olav, is Pasha that he should make on the Pas Yisrael that has Kadima. But if he's not makbid on Pas Akum, then it's up to him to call Echad Yesh LeMaila. Each one has got a Maila. Zeh Shel Pas Yisrael, because on one hand, this role, which is Pas Yisrael, is a Maila, that's an advantage. The Pas Akum le Tira leMedoichik, they only allowed Pas Akum, because of difficulty. V'zeh Shel Noki, the other, and it's better. And the other one is better because it's Noki. So that's the problem. So if he is not Nizha from Pas Akum, then he can choose whichever one he wants. If he is Nizha on Pas Akum, then what should he do? Not that he should just have the Pas Yisrael, but says the Mechaber, he should take it off the table. What's that about? Says the Mishnah Berurah, Sif Kotan Yud Tes, Din ze noveh midivrei hasar mikutzi. This halacha roots from the Sar HaKutzi, shechoshash, he was choshesh, shemiyeh munach ala shulchan, if you leave the Pas Akum on the table, yeh beis habracha chaviva lav mipnei shu nakia. You've got something on the table which is actually preferred to him be'etzem because it's better quality bread, ve'efshe sheistorach levarach alav mipnei zeh, and therefore maybe from mitzad halacha you should be making a bracha on that, and therefore better to take it off the table to avoid that problem. However, says the Mishnah Berurah, many achronim question this rule. If he holds that Pas Akum is no good, so what? He likes it better. So the role for is nicer. So what? Nevertheless, it's better to be concerned for his words, or l'salik, and to remove it from the table. Okay, let's carry on the Mechaber. We're on the second line of the top of the page 132, Siman Kuf Samaches Sif Hey. Ve'im balabais ein nizme Pas Oved Kechavim. If the balabais is not worried, he's not particular about Pas Akum, ve'ein dai to lechol kol hasuda rak Pas Oved Kechavim ki hinakia, and indeed that is what he's going to do. Avol bnei beisa yochlu pas she'ein noki shel Yisrael. But his family are only going to have Pas Yisrael, right? So can you imagine the situation? He's quite happy to have Pas Akum, but the family are stricter than him, and they're going to have Pas Yisrael. You've got two loaves of bread on the table, and he's being moitzi them with birchas hamoitzi. Listen to this. Al pas nakia shel Ovid Kechavim. He trumps, and he gets to have the Pas Akum, because he is making moitzi, he is going to be cutting the challah, and his intention is to eat from that one. If it's the other way around, if he is makbid on Pas Yisrael, and he's got a guest who's not, given the mitzvahs muteles al balabais, since it's his mitzvah Yivtza mina to be boitzeah. Yivtza mina yofa shalov kichavim for kivin shehuta livtzeah huta lechol asuda. He should do it from, even though he's makbid on Pas Yisrael, the Orach trumps, that's his mitzvah, and therefore he should actually eat the Pas Akum. Amazing. For dafka shechaviv olav, and that's dafka because it's chaviv ois pas. Aval mena chaviv olav below is a pas shalov kichavim ein a tzorich lagdima. He doesn't need to be magdim it. Okay, says, let's just finish off the Mishnah on the Sif Cotton Chav. Ve'ein daitoi pirush the af bereish hasiif kosav the mevarach al eze sheyirtze. Even though we said originally that if he's not makbid on pas akum, he can choose whichever one he wants. Hainu heichesh bedaite lechel asud b'shteim. That's if he wants to eat from, he can eat from either of them during the course of the meal. Avol zeh she'ein daite lechel klal rak pas ovid gelulim. But this balabais fully intends only to eat the pas akum. Ein tzarich levorech al pas acher afshu choshuv tfei. He has no ein tzarich. He doesn't need to eat from the other bread, even though it may be better. V'chanal b'sif alef b'hagah. After b'moitzi has been a base of rechas hamoitzi, even though he's being moitzi other people. V'hein einam oichlim mizeh ela mipas kosher, and they're only eating from the kosher pas Yisrael. Mikol mokum kiven to hu einachav is lechel elazeh for hu balabais, since he intends only to eat the pas akum and he is the balabais. Hu ha'ika, he is the main reason. He is the main part of them. He is the focus. Therefore, he makes the bracha on the pas akum because that lemaisa is what he's going to be eating. However, if it's the other way around, siman sif cotton chaf aleph. If it's the other way around, that he's got an Orach who's going to be eating pas akum, and the balabais wants to eat pas Yisrael, then the Orach trumps. A balabais pirush livtzev v'lo heitzis achem b'brichos. So k'meish omer balabais b'tzeh kadesh yivtze b'ayin yofen, like we said a few times now. For kiven she'orach yochel mepas over gilulim shu yofen v'nochi. Since the guest is going to eat the pas akum, which is a superior quality bread in this situation, hitiru lo gamkein lebalabais livtzoya ala pas shel ovid gilulim b'nei kovet ha'orach. We allow the balabais to actually eat, to make moitzi on the pas akum in order to honor the Orach, because that's what the Orach wants. But otherwise, aside from the fact that there was an Orach, the balabais should avoid it. But rather he should take it off the table. If he is makbid on pas Yisrael, that should really be what he should be making moitzi on and eating. And know that nowadays, nowadays, the minhag is when you're sitting having lunch on a Friday afternoon or whatever it may be on a Sunday morning, everyone makes their own bracha v'hamoitzi. This whole halach is not really relevant. Everyone just makes the bracha on the bread that they happen to be eating. Okay, good. Chof base. You've got to be sure that this bread is actually preferred to him. It's just because of the archim we allow the balabais to make on pas akum. Then he should make on the pita hakashera. Just by the way, we keep saying that the pas of the akum is nakia. That's because that's this situation. You should know that the pas we get, the bread we get in our kosher bakeries is of superb quality. We once had a cleaner who would go to Tesco's, not a non-Jewish cleaner, and would go to Tesco's and buy the bread there. She asked my wife always to make sure that sometimes my wife made her a sandwich for lunch or something. She always said, "Wow, this bread is amazing. Can you please, when you get some bread, buy me a bread and I'll pay you back always." She recognized the bread from Grudziński is a lot superior. Okay, but it's maybe more expensive, but it's but it's good stuff. Okay, now next sif. This sif is very important. Pas haba b'kisnin. Now, pas haba b'kisnin we generally term as mezonos. We're going to define it not today, Mr. Shem, next week. But pas haba b'kisnin generally is mezonos. Think about cakes and crackers and things like that. Says the Mechaber Sif Vov. Pas haba b'kisnin. Mavarich olav beirei minei mezonos. You make a mezonos. Ula'achrov barcha me'achas me'ein shalish. You make an ala mechya. If you eat a kviya suda, right, that means you have a large quantity. We'll discuss how much. Even though he's not fully satisfied, Mavarich olav hamaitzi ubirchas hamazon. He makes hamaitzi and birchas hamazon. You hear that? So you have 3-4 slices of chocolate cake. You sit down, you wash, you make hametzi, and you make birchas hamazon. You have a large quantity of mazonos, that's what you need to do. If you only wanted to have one slice of chocolate cake, and then you change your mind, right? Sound familiar? You made the bermin mazonos, and then you have a second, a third, a fourth piece, or whatever it is, however much shir kviyas suda is, then when you finally finished eating your cake and you've had a large quantity, you actually bench birchas hamazon. Even though you never benched hametzi at the outset, you benched bermin mazonos. Nevertheless, you make birchas hamazon. If you ate a share that other people would not be kover, in other words, you say, for example, people are kover 4 big pieces of cake. That's what they would have for kviyas suda. That would be their lunch. But let's say it was only 3 pieces or 2 pieces. But for you, that's a lot. Why? To bottle daita, it's a kolodom. Most people will have 4 pieces of cake, that's their lunch. If you had 2 and you happen to be full afterwards, that doesn't mean you make a birchas hamazon, rather you make a bermin mazonos and an al hamechia. Okay, let's see some detail. It says the Mishnah Berurah, Chaf Gimel. The next sif will describe exactly what it is. That's a machlokes rishonim. There are different definitions of what pasababa kistin is. For after bestam pas mevorchen alav hamoitzi becholshu val kazayis mevorchen al birchas mazon. Even if you have a small amount of bread, you need to make hamoitzi lechem haaretz and you need to bench. Yeah, we've said before that half a slice of bread generally is the large slice of bread. Of a smaller slice, and about a quarter even of a large slice of bread, that's enough for a kazayis to make birchas hamazon. Here's different. This birchas, this mazonos is different. Shani elu the ein derech ben eldem nikva sudas nalehem. Generally speaking, you're not kaveh suda on this type of food, on this mazonos. V'rak oichne samad derech arai. You have a nash, you eat it, as derech arai. Lefichach birchas and rak bury min mazonos, and therefore you make a mazonos on it. V'la'achrav bracha me'ein shalosh. And imkain ochel kashir kviyas suda, unless you have large quantity. The oz mevarech hamoitzi birchas hamazon dal pol ponim. Pasu, because it's made of flour, and at the end of the day, it's got, broadly, it's defined as pas. Chaftalet. Shachem regin ligboya. Kosva achreinim. Dim ochlu levada. You're sitting alone. Tzarich sheyochel shir. Shachem regin lisboya memenu levada. That you've got to eat a share that a person eating on their own, that is of satiation. Vim ochre im bosa idvar macherim shemelaftem be'pas. Now this is very nogea. I remember speaking to the Dayan about this. What if you have for lunch rivita? So let's say how many rivita you're going to have. Rivita are crackers, right? You're going to have X amount of rivitas, that's kviyas suda. But what if you have, let's say, some rivita, but you have it with tuna, you have it with egg, you have it with other things. Do you count the other things? Now that's a very important shaila. So he says over here, if you eat it with the things which accompany the bread, i.e. with like I said, tuna and cheese and egg and things like that. Sagi k'sha'echel shir shachem regim nispa menu k'sha'echel gam came in dvar macherim. This is you measure it when it's eaten with other things that are eaten with it. Avalim ochle levade v'sova mimenu. But if you just have the bread, the mazonos itself, af shachem lo yisvei mimenu levade. Even though other people wouldn't be satisfied by having just that mazonos. But now that you've had it with other foods, tuna, etc., we don't say bottle daita. So if you have other fillings with it, it would count to get your shir kviyas suda. That you would need to make hametzi and birchas hamazon. Amazing. Now, with regards to the erev techumin, b'simin shin samaches, issa the shir suda hu shalosh arba beitzim. Now, this is important. What is the shir? In terms of erev techumin, we define it as either 3 or 4 beitzim. Now, if you see in footnote 14, he says, according to the shirim of Rabbi Chaim Noah, a shir of 4 beitzim is about 250 grams. Okay, so that can equate it. 250 grams. Think about that, right? The kosu kama achreinim duadin kan choshev v'zeh shir kviyas suda. That would be the same as a shir kviyas suda. Avol kama achreinim v'agra bichlolom. Many other achreinim in the gra included. Cholkin, they argue, usfir lehu the ein levarach hamoitzi berchas hamazon ela kashir suda kvua. You don't make Hamoitzi or Birchas Hamazon, unless it's much bigger than that, it's more than 4 kabetzim, it's a share of a suda kavua, of a fixed proper meal. Shehu shel erev baker, what you would have for lunch, for supper. Or Kamesh Kosav Beis Yosef b'Shem Leket Hashiboli Leket. V'chein Motzosi be'Eshkol, I also found in the Eshkol, the writings of the Eshkol, the Mukach Shul Sevekain, he holds like that as well. V'chein Noitzi Yosef Loshen Orach. Or Mikol Makom Lechatchila, Tov Lochush Ladas HaMachmirim, Shelo Lochel Arba Beitzim. You should be chayshish. And therefore, if you have too much mazonos, you've got to be careful. Not to have too much mazonos, because otherwise that will create a need for you to make hamoitzi and to bench. And certainly if the actual material is a shaila, whether it's pasababa kisnin in the first place, then that's also a reason to be mekel. That if you do have 4, you should try if you can avoid have so much mazonos to avoid the problem in the first place. Of course, the problem, the classic scenario is your 2 slices of pizza. Right, and therefore, you have 1 slice of pizza and it's so good you fancy another, second, or third slice. So then, the pashup pshat is, according to this, you've now decided to have a second or third slice. So then you need to make birchas hamazon afterwards, because that's already considered that's over the limit.
Should you wash?
Oh, so Yossi, we're coming to that in a second. Siman Chof Hey, Hamoitzi or Birchas Hamazon, V'gam Netilas Yadayim. So if lechatchila you're going to sit down and have your 2-3 slices of pizza, then you wash Netilas Yadayim, you make Hamoitzi, and you make Birchas Hamazon. Right? V'mu'alel b'siman kuf neches sif aleph ein sham. Yivarchel of Birchas Hamazon, kiven shehishlim l'shir kvi suda. Aval Hamoitzi. And now, what if you're having 1 slice of pizza, and then you decide I fancy another slice of pizza? That's your shayla. Do you have to go wash then and make hamoitzi? Says the Mishnah Berurah, Aval hamoitzi ein tzarich levorech hamashanim lech lechol. If I decide to have 1 more slice of pizza, you don't have to then make hamoitzi. Given the ein b'mashemunach lefonav achashanim lech shir kvi asuda. Ela biyachad in mashe ochel kvar. I'm only in front of me is just a second slice of pizza, so that's not enough for hamoitzi and birchas hamazon. So therefore, you would not make hamoitzi on that. In be'emes, and rather you just continue eating it, and then you make birchas hamazon. If there isn't, a little yodov, if you, however, you decide, that pizza was so good, I'm going to have 2 more slices, and that's going to be enough. So then, then you'd have to say, in other words, just to summarize, if you have a lot of pasababa kisnin, you wash netilas yadayim, you make hamoitzi, and you make birchas hamazon. If you have, therefore, you're going to have half a piece of chocolate cake, half a chocolate cake, or you're going to have 2 or more slices of pizza. That's what the rule seems to be. Then you wash into the sadaim, you would make hamoitzi and make birchas hamazon. If you've had 1 slice of pizza, and therefore you were planning on just having 1 slice and making mazonos and alamichya, and then you choose to have a second slice, then you could just have the second slice and then you make birchas hamazon. If you choose to have 2 more slices, then you would make the netilas yadayim, hamoitzi, and birchas hamazon. Peseda? Okay, there's some interesting footnotes, but we'll leave it there. Peseda.